This is the Tablets of Light Tour 2024 post report. Now, when we walk in Egypt with Marie on the Tablets of Light Tour in Egypt, this is what it looks like. I have to show you the visual. And that person right down there, it's you. Let me step back again. Isn't it amazing? That's essentially that's the Tablets of Light tour. I might as well end the video here. But no, that is it. That if you want to see what your mission is all about, the alignment with the light coming in, there's you stood in front of the pyramids, everything's golden, you've walked through a portal. What else do you need to know? So the Tablets of Light tour was birthed through me, okay, for one specific reason, to bring those who are willing to step into their power, activate their own tablet of light within their blueprint, understand what their gifts and abilities are, get very clear on what their purpose, their soul purpose is, and what missions could be, how you can express that in the world. That's what your mission is. So when you have that alignment, like I say, everything is in flow. So this year, we had a very, very powerful tour. We've just come back and we've been in deep integrative process because there was so much that happened on this tour that it's taken this much time to embody it all, to be able to bring it to a place where I can share it. So that's why I've been super quiet. So I have a list here and I'm just going to go through it. So mission complete. This is what this tour was all about this year, about going back to Egypt and finishing off what we started, right? And the way the Tablets of Light works, it's not something that I put out there every single year and everybody fits into that. No, I run the tour every single year. Spirit has already told me that I'm a bus driver and I get everybody to the temple on time. What happens between you and the temples, that's the empowering part. That is where the magic happens and the heck happens and the activation happens, because I hold space for you to understand what you've got going on inside of you and bring that out, birth it out, right? But then as soon as you get into Egypt and you're walking with me, you will fast realize that you are deeply significant, that you have got some crazy ass gifts and abilities going on, and you'll start to get the very, very clear directive of what you've come here to do, because you're not just coming there off your own steam. You will be meeting with other star seeds who've agreed to come on that particular mission, meaning the Tablets of Light, on that timeline, that particular year. You are meant to meet them as well. So there is always a very, very big emphasis about who you meet on the tour, because they are soul family, like such soul family that it's just a deep sense of home. And that's exactly what happens on my tours. Every time we go out, there is like a reunion of sorts. And in a way that sometimes is more important than anything else, finding your soul family, right? And then when you feel that safety, your encodement's just unlock, right? And then we can get to work. So each year, the Tablets of Light, I run it every single May of every year. And it's actually you guys that bring the clarity of the mission together. So each year I go with a team. Okay. So I will have a rough idea, kind of like, even now I'm opening up for 2025 now. So I'm kind of like putting out my Batman sign in the sky, and I'm starting to feel the next wave of soul family that are going to come and meet me. And that kind of depends on you, because I mean, that's why the numbers vary so much. And sometimes that's why, well, no, all the time, that's why the mission changes so much, because each and every one of you holds a specific jigsaw piece puzzle. Now, you may think little old me, but when you come to Egypt, you'll go, wow, big old me, because then you realize the significance that you have, that power that you hold within, and that you do matter. Because when you come to Egypt and you stand in the temples, you start to remember. I mean, that's my job. That's what I help you do, right? Remember. And then the mission kicks in. So you start to understand that you are deeply significant and very important. And when we come together as a group, we start to activate the mission on exactly what we'd signed up for. And that is like an evolution. We won't know in the beginning, but more starseeds join until we get to like the time of the tour. And I look around and I'm going, right, okay, now I know what's going on. And then I start to receive very, very strong directive from my team, my higher self. And as a result of your presence, that is the frequency that allows that to happen for me. And then I know exactly where we're going and what the template is. We get to Egypt and it's go time and it's show time, right? It's very exciting. Now, when we get to Egypt, there is sometimes an unfolding further layers, that things that we weren't aware of, but we're open for it. We're ready for it, man. And as a collective, we're good to go. So this is the power of the work that we do there. Now, this particular tour took me all the way back to the first time I went to Egypt, right? The very first time, which was 6 years ago, 6, 7 years ago, whatever. And the very first tour I went to was a private visit, and I was in somebody else's group. And there was a huge ankh that I had basically worked on. There were 7 of us in the lower chamber. The rest of the group, of which we were 40, were up in the upper chambers of the Great Pyramid, right? So this big ankh was already there, and I just didn't think anything of it. Now I've gone to Egypt this year, and Toth spoke to me and said, right, you're going to go back and you're going to activate that ankh now. And I was like, what? Like that work? That was so many years ago. And he says, why do you think you went there? So there was so much that we miss because we've slept since then. There's so much we miss because we think that we're a little bit like insignificant. And like, and we're not. Even me, I was like, wow, before I went out to Egypt this time, they were like, yeah, you're going to pick up that work that you activated back then. But I was like, but I was on somebody else's tour, and they're like, it's your human self, in your mind, you're just attending somebody else's group. But from how we saw you, we thought, oh, the super being has turned up. Here she is. Do you know what I mean? So that's how it rolls. So drop those layers of feeling inadequate or insignificant that may be blocking you from stepping into such a mission. Because let me tell you, you are not insignificant, right? We need you. We need you at the portal, right? So that's how it works. You guys that turn up dictate the mission. It's a co-creation between me and also a co-creation between spirit. And it's a beautiful meld of all of these frequencies to go and get stuff done, right? So going back to that ankh in the Great Pyramid, this year, Toth said to me, you are going to go and turn on the tablets of light, right? So what does that mean exactly? Well, first of all, Toth is deeply, deeply connected to the Great Pyramid because he kind of had the plans for that and he built them, as well as help from other star seeds and other star seed races and so on and so forth, right? But he's also connected to the Great Sphinx because that is where the Akashic records are. He's the keeper of the Akashic records. Anubis is very strong there as well, because we also got to throw the halls of Amenti in the mix as well. And, they're all libraries, okay, for learning. So for me, the Great Pyramid and the Sphinx are deeply, deeply significant for my mission in this lifetime to do with the tablets of light, right? So now we go back there and Toth is like, right, you got to turn it on now. So we went back to the Great Pyramid, and there's an ankh technology that I have been working with that was channeled through some years ago now. And it's very, very simple. And I'll share the meditation on YouTube. And I get my groups to work with it. And it's a very, very quick way of channeling and downloading information when you've got to do it like quickly, right? And you have to do that a lot when you're in Egypt. So if you imagine an ankh, okay, in every single chakra all the way down, right? In normal stance. So it's like that way, right? Standing upright. If you turn it the other way around, upside down, the circle now becomes the bottom. And that is basically divine feminine. That's the womb. So when it's in its normal stance with its kind of like anchored into the earth, that's divine masculine, locked in, loaded, embodied. When we turn it the other way, it opens up for the creation codes to flow in. So of course we unlock. So it's like a lock. We unlock it and we channel. Okay. Now, once you've received the channel and the information has filled you up and you feel that you're done, then you just turn the anchor around, in your mind's eye, and you lock all that information into your being, and you will feel it. It doesn't matter whether you logically know what that is. It doesn't matter. Just trust and know that the information that needed to be brought to you is within you, and it will show itself to you in a later time when it's supposed to, right? Now, but going back to the Great Pyramid and the huge holographic ankh that was placed there on my first trip, he took me back there with my group now, and we turned it on. And we did this, like a big turnkey. And I've left it open. And now the stream of consciousness of the as above, so below, the tablets of light now, I'm feeling a big rush of energy with that. The tablets of light grid is now open, meaning mission, purpose, gifts and abilities, your full blueprint is able to be accessed now if you so will it. Okay, so now that energy is flowing through the Great Pyramid, because remember, the Great Pyramid is a receiver and transmitter, and so are you. So now I want to take you on to the next very, very significant thing that we had to address when we were in Egypt as well. Okay, so now, first of all, mission and purpose, gifts and abilities, that's the first place you're going, right? So you want to understand and know what they are to be able to walk through the portal, right? Second thing, all right, is all about receiving. So of course, we're very good at giving, aren't we? You know what I mean? And can I ask you, do you receive in the same amount that you give? Think about how giving we are from day to day. Oh, don't worry, I'll get that. I'll get that. Do you receive on that? The scales have to balance. Ma'at was a very big part of our trip. So do your scales balance? Probably not, because not many of us can balance that, but it's changing as of now. So I seem to have held the biggest jigsaw piece puzzle with this when we were in Egypt in my group, because I was the one who felt it physically in my body, and I purged a lot when I was there to do with this. Okay. Now I'm going to give you an example. We were in the Great Pyramid and we were drumming, and I placed every single one of my people in the sarcophagus in the king's chamber so they could receive. Once we'd finished, I was like, right, on to the next. And my group turned around and said, well, hang on a minute. No, we're not finished. You haven't got in there. And I was like, whoa, I don't do that, because I'm holding the group like little old me. No, this is about you guys. And they were like, no, you need to get in. I was like, no, really, guys. I have lay in the sarcophagus, but only on that first time with that big ankh. Okay. So I have lay there. So the significance now of all of those years back, coming all the way to this tour, now my team putting me in the middle so I could receive, that was a game changer. That kicked off the beginning of the tour. So it set the tone and the awareness of receiving, right? And then that kind of like carried its way all the way through. So receiving, going back to the Great Pyramid, receiver and transmitter, we are bringing on our pyramid codes in our physical being. We are activating our sacred design, our sacred architecture, our sacred structure, i.e. the physical body. And that is why we have been going through so many ascension symptoms. There's been a massive purge of sickness again, especially around the throat area. Okay, throat area is deeply significant, especially with the Sphinx and the Great Pyramid. The Sphinx is all about the throat, and the Great Pyramid is all about the third eye. Okay, so the two to me are like one. So there was a lot of energy here, you know what I mean, which is deeply connected to your sacral chakra. Do you know what I mean? It's just like, yeah, there's been a lot of ascension sickness with that. So between the heart and the throat, this is what's being cleared out. Why? So we can receive and we can speak our truth. And if we're speaking our truth, we're honoring ourselves, which means we are receiving. So there's all these ambiguous ways where you don't realize you're blocking receiving. Because if you're not speaking your truth, you're not seeing that your needs are met, right? So this is very, very important. So this came out in the tour in a big way. So receiving, okay? And then, what else? Cosmic heart. Looking at my list here. Cosmic heart. So your cosmic heart is here. Now, this is deeply significant because our heart is pretty much merging into here. This is the access to the 8th dimension. Okay. And the 8th dimension is all about transmutation. That's the universal law. And it's all about acceptance of core power. Now, the 8th dimension is very connected to the Sphinx. And I will do another video on that because it's too complex to go into it now. It needs its own stage. But you can see all the relevance, okay, of us receiving, because if we are not opening up and letting go and receiving, then we can't access the cosmic heart or the high heart, right? So for us to go through and basically step into union, we're literally at that critical point now where we're teetering on the edge, and like we have to step forward. Now that's stepping forward through the portal. Consider this as a visual, that this actually is your cosmic heart. This is union. This is union. And as I'm speaking, we're talking about the Great Pyramid here, which is there. Yeah. So basically it's not the big one, it's the other ones. So anyway, pyramids, whatever. So we're talking about pyramids here, receiving and transmitting. It's really, really, really important that happens, because without it, you're just going to stay where you are. It really is that simple. Forget all the other stuff. Forget anything else which brings all of that distortion and white noise. It's basically about receiving, and you need to let go. You got to let everything go and trust. And then you will then naturally move into receiving. It will start happening. You cannot consciously go, oh, I need to receive. Because if you're going to do receiving, it's not going to work for you. You have to let go. And then you'll be granted with the natural flow of receiving, if that makes sense. So receiving was a big thing on the tour. So let me run through it again. We got twin flame union that we were going through. We had a divine balance between men and women on the tour, which is deeply significant because each tour has been different on the run up to this. And I'm going to speak about this on the next layer, because you're going to understand what I'm saying has a crescendo and a point to it. We are at a balloon pop moment. It's all going to come together just now. So yeah, so we have twin flame union, we have activating the cosmic heart, we have balance, Okay, we got to have balance. Okay, because if you're not balanced and in your receiving and giving, if there's no balance there, then you're not going to be able to move through. So these are real basic, like tick box ways of sharing it, you know, and then completion will be granted, end of cycle. So I want to just run through that again. You see what I'm saying? It's like, it's very bullet point here, right? So what needs to be done is acknowledge that you are coming into union. Your beloved is yourself. It's not another. Everything out there is just reflections of that. Your beloved is you. It is you that you seek, right? So that can only be, to enter into that place, you can only enter into the high heart there. But to do that, you have to be in balance with receiving and giving, because you have to receive. How do you receive? You focus on just letting go. When something comes in that tweaks you out, breathe and let it go, right? So that's how we move through this. And then you will be led to completion. End of cycle, on to the next, which means you start to enter in through here. So this is how the flow of this tour unfolded, right? And this is why it's really, really important to share with you. So just to now talk about the people that I was just talking about now, about like the run up to this. So let's go right back to Marie's first trip to Egypt, right? And I'm sharing this with you because of the significance of it. Little did I know, this is what I'm saying, you know, we think we know, get out of the way of yourself. I had no idea that big ankh that I was basically working with, I had no idea what I was doing. I was just in the Great Pyramid following everybody else. And that massive holographic ankh just got left there. So when I got taken back to it, I was like, oh my goodness, my higher self knew what was going on. But just because Marie doesn't mean that it's null and void, right? So when I went into the space of actually holding my own tours, so this is the third tour I've held, I then now realized first tour I held was all about the teachers, because I'm here to help the teachers remember, okay, which is you guys, right? So now I had 23 teachers that came to me to Egypt for the first time. The second tour I did dropped right down and it was 7 women, okay? 7 women, and we healed the sexual trauma. We healed just trauma, divine feminine. It was a women's group and it wasn't intended like that. Again, I just sat there and took directive. 7 women came in. The divine feminine needed to be healed and happy before I stepped into tour number 3, which naturally and organically just became a twin flame tour, because we had 2 lots of married couples. I was technically the third, but I brought my son, who is part of my twin flame triad. Okay. My husband didn't come this time, but I needed to bring my son, who is very reflective of baby Horus. Okay. So he was the harmony aspect of the twin flame triad. So you have the divine feminine, divine masculine, and then you have Horus, who is the product of such a union. And then you have the 3. There's the triangle. Okay. So we have Osiris, Isis in balance, in twin flame union, because they've accessed through their cosmic heart. All is well. And as a result of that balance, they're able to receive and transmit. And then, because they're in balance, they get granted to go through the portal, which means they are then blessed with baby Horus, which is all about balance, harmony, divine. Yeah. Because he's likened very much to Jesus, right? So if you think about that, here I am now, because I go every year with my husband. Husband didn't come this year. My son did. So there was also an aspect of that as well. So every single element of this tour was about balance, ma'at. It was about union, divine feminine and divine masculine. It was about all of the things. And this was what was so powerful about this. So I have a theory that when we go through something energetically powerful like this, and, you know, it's significantly massive, which this year, let's face it, it is. There's usually about a 5 to 6 month lag, if you say. Well, lag makes it sound like it's dragging, but 5 to 6 months until it shows up in physical form. So whatever you do energetically out here works really fast, because energy moves really fast. But by the time you go through the embodiment process, it slows down, because this is physical matter, but it has to be embodied, right? And then once that is completed, you're probably looking about 5 to 6 months after this big cataclysmic kaboom, which is essentially tablets of light May this year. So we're looking towards the end of the year. There's going to be significant shift. 2025 is going to be a game changer. Now, I have always said that June was going to be a huge portal that we were going to walk through. It is going to be literally like rolling a marble up the hill or over the mountain, and then it rolls over the other side. We are still going through ascension symptoms, meaning there is a huge wave that I've just spoken about of purging here and here. welcome it, be with it, allow it, because the thing is that is really, really stepping you into the next level. It's part of the process. So don't fight it. Don't be like, oh, this is the same old thing. No, it's not. It's for a reason, because I believe that it is the final purge, push, propulsion before we step into the twin flame union within. Okay. And then there's going to be a process after that we're getting used to our new world. I am on the precipice right now, being very conscious of choosing in my everyday people, places, and situations that really constitute the new, and being very conscious that I haven't fallen back into the old way. So I make decisions on new things every single day. That helps me keep in the balance. So that is what essentially has happened, on the Tablets of Light tour in a very, very sort of like condensed way. But I just thought it'd be very, very beneficial. And I'm going to do an energy update on this as well. Very beneficial for you to let this Tablets of Light tour land. And for those that are feeling it, 2025, there's going to be a huge shift, and I actually feel the next year is going to be even more powerful than this year, because each year it just keeps growing and growing and growing. And who knows, maybe some of those star seeds that you've already come on the tour with me, you'll revisit and come out again, because we need you. Do you know what I mean? And there'll always be something else out there for the next level for you to ascend if you are a serial offender in Egypt like me. So now also as well, the temples have it, we go for an upgrade, temples have as well. They have a brand new set of codes, information. These temples will stand until it is completed. And what I mean by that is they are upgrading star temple, star temple, star temple. And as long as we keep going out there and we're upgrading, there'll be an exchange of new information, new information. And just to finish off this video, where we're rounding off now, there is no more carrying other people's work, because everybody's work is basically true to them. I'm calling for all of you to step into my world, Tablets of Light, and have the courage and the tenacity to actually get out there and crack those layers that allows your truth to step out. What is the gospel of you? I know my gospel of Marie. I've been sharing it left, right, and center, and you won't find any of it in a textbook. Why? Because I'm allowing my truth to actually emanate through my videos, through my tours, and I'm just speaking my truth. And if it lands with you, happy days. But when it lands with you, let it activate your layer for your gospel, okay? So less taking on other people's opinions, and let's hear yours, because it's needed, it's significant. That is your unique soul design and frequency coming through. Have the courage and the confidence to share what's coming to you, because it is always relevant. You might not know the depths of that until you speak it out loud through your throat. So this is a very, very exciting time to be alive, because it is all about speaking your truth. And on that note, people, I'm going to leave it there. Thank you for listening. And please do open up conversations if you feel that you've got stuff to ponder on. Tablets of Light, over and out till 2025.